Alright, so we've got our file here and we're going to keep these assets nice and neat. I'm actually going to delete this one because it's a duplicate. And over here I'm going to rename this to be Ruined Wall 1. I could make variations of this quite easily if I hadn't joined the faces together, but it's not too difficult to fix that. And so I'm just going to hide this. I'm going to hit H. And then I'm going to add in, we're going to make a little barrel. So I'm going to add in a cylinder. Now I want this cylinder to be low poly. So what I'm going to do is turn this down to 10 sides. And the radius and that can stay the same, but the cylinder is going to have 10 sides on it. Now I'm going to hit tab, go into edit mode, and we are going to scale this just along the Z axis just a little bit. And then I'm going to do something called a ring cut. It's actually called a loop cut and slide in Blender, I think. Yeah, loop cut and slide. I call it a ring cut, and you'll see because it makes a ring around the object. And if it doesn't do this, it means that somewhere you've messed up your model and you have objects with, or shapes, or faces, sorry, with more than 4 sides. The ring cut does not work on any polys that have more than 4 sides. So I'm going to scroll up and actually make 2 cuts. So 2 cuts, and I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click again. Then I'll scale these out, hit S, and then scale. But as I do that, I'm going to hit Shift Z. That's going to lock the scaling just to the X axis. Okay, and we'll kind of visually work this here, like that. So I've got this little fat barrel, and I'm going to click on face mode at the top and select, I don't know why I'm in knife mode, and select that face. Now here's a tool that we haven't used yet, and it is called insetting. To inset a face, I hit I, and then I move my mouse. Now it's important that your mouse is away from the center of the object when you do this, because if you do it near the center, you won't have enough space to inset it, and you'll just kind of be playing around for ages doing that there. So I'm going to inset it, and I'm just going to inset it a little bit like this. Then I'm going to hit E. E is going to extrude. E adds extra faces. We can extrude upwards or we can extrude downwards into the model, and I'm just going to extrude a little ways downward into the model, as though these were planks on the outside and this is the top of the barrel. Now I'm not going to worry about the bottom because we won't see it. Actually, I may do the bottom because that way we could have barrels stacked. So what I'll do is I'll just undo that inset, I'll select the bottom, and I'll inset them both at the same time. Hit I, inset, and that happens there. Now I'm just going to select this and hit E and pull that down, and then I'm going to do the same on the bottom, hit E and pull it up. Now there is a way to do that in Blender, but at this stage I think I'll just keep things simple and we'll just do it separately. Now that's mostly a barrel. Okay, it's lacking a few things. It's lacking some braces around the outside, and it's lacking a part where you put stuff in it. So let's add that bit first. In edit mode, I'm going to add a cylinder. This cylinder is going to have 6 sides on it. And then I'm going to hit G, Z and pull it up. It's really big, but I'm going to scale it down to there. G, Z, move it down in there. And then GY and move it across to there. Okay, I could also just rotate Z, R, Z, rotate it so it's not quite on the perfect axis, but it doesn't matter. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got a barrel, but I want these bits around here. Once again, I'm going to add a cylinder. And notice that I'm adding these other meshes in edit mode. Okay, I'm not adding separate objects, I'm adding them in edit mode. This can make things a little bit difficult later, and some people will say that you should extrude everything out of a box. All that does is give you way more, and what I mean by that is some people will say, oh, okay, well you should do this, and then select these here, and then in face mode extrude those and scale them and so on. All it does is give you a whole lot of extra vertices that you don't need. So I'm going to add another cylinder. I'm going to scale that one up. Actually want this to be 10 sides, my mistake. Add cylinder. I want this to have the same number of sides as my existing one. scale that up, scale it down on the Z axis, and you can see what's happening there. I'll put that about there. Scale it on the Z, bring it up a little bit more, like that. And I actually want to get this top edge. This is kind of optional, this bit. Select that top part and scale it in so that the braces match the edge there. Then I'll do the same thing at the bottom. Although I could duplicate this, and I will do that. You could either replicate it or you could duplicate it doing the way that I'm about to do. So I want to select all of this here, everything that's linked to this. If I just hit A, it selects the whole model. Not good. If I hit L, it selects everything that is linked to the one that I selected. There's an option to change it down here, but the default should be fine. And then I'm going to duplicate it with Shift D, hit Z, and move it down. Well, that looks funny. I'll rotate along the x-axis, 180 degrees. It'll turn it up the right way. I'll hit G and Z and go down a little bit more until we get that barrel. Now that looks really awesome. Time to add some materials to it. I'm going to add a wood material first. And base color is going to be brown, of course. We'll get some brown in there. Make it like a wood brown. There we go. This bit here, I'm going to hit L and select that. Plus, add a new material. I'll call it dark wood. And I will select that and make it quite dark. And then to change that to the dark wood, I click Assign. See, I've got two different color woods now. Now this bit around the outside here, L on that and L on that, I'm going to add a new material and I'm going to call it barrel metal. And I'll make that a dark gray color and assign it to that. And I might turn the metallic property up on it as well. Well, it's not a big deal. Okay, so there we've got a really cool barrel. And I could hit R and X and 90, and then I could make a few of these stacking. So I could just use Alt D to make a duplicate. You'll notice sometimes I'm using Alt D, other times I'm using Shift D. There is a reason for that. Alt D will make a linked duplicate. What that means is anytime I edit one of these, you'll see it happens to all of them. Shift D makes a duplicate that is unique to itself. So I could edit it and it wouldn't affect any others. So I'll do that here, Shift D, move it along here. If I edit this one, only this one is edited, none of the others are. Generally, it depends on what you want. I'm going to duplicate these, Alt D, hit Z, move them up, hit G and then X, move them across, and then G and then Z, move them down. And okay, so that looks pretty good. I've got some barrels there. For each of these barrels, I could rotate them slightly. So R, and then I'm going to rotate them along that Y axis just a little bit, just to give them a little bit of randomness. They wouldn't be perfectly aligned if it was real life. They'd be close, but like this one here is way wrong. It should be down there. But they're not going to be perfect. And I might move these two down just a wee bit, just so it intersects with the other one. And that looks pretty good. So with that, I'm going to select all of these over here, or select all of the ones that are visible. B will draw a box. I don't need the light source. So I might just select them. Shift will let you select multiple. And I'm going to hit M and move it to a new collection called barrels. Okay, now over here, you'll see it's giving me a new collection called barrels. I can tick that on and off. I can just hide it very easily. Or I can, oops. So I can show the barrels, not show the barrels. And we might make some more walls in the next video, and I'll show you how we could make a few modifications to what we've got. We might have to remake it again and then kind of keep an original one that we can modify. But we could have a few variants of these walls.